this thing. Hey, everybody! Welcome back to another Saturday here at the old studios, Marty Music Studios. Hope everyone's having a great Saturday, nice and mellow. Anyway, Brian, how's it going over there?
Good.
Okay, so this is live. TikTok and Instagram, you're just picking up the sound literally straight from a really old cracked iPad TikTok. No offense. I picked my cracked iPad for the TikTok part. Instagram's on my phone, so you're only hearing just the audio, straight into the phone. But if you're on Facebook and YouTube, you're going through an audio interface. But what I want to ask you, Brian, is just like here in the room, that sounded good, right? Like, I'm not asking for a critique on my playing. Brian's too honest anyway for me to ask that. But we go way back, so he has the permission. But no, just tonally, right? I played a power chord on this thing, okay? Well, I'm getting there. You beat me. I was going to say, now I know what Chan feels like. He'd be like... And most people... Yeah, Jared James Nichols, yeah. True story, Jared James Nichols crushed his entire arm picking up a road case with one arm. He's better now, though. Okay, but where I was getting with that is tonally, it sounds good, right? The way it plays is amazing because I do have small hands, and I'm always jealous of... Turn that off. Always jealous of John Mayer and watching footage of Hendrix. Their fingers are twice as long as me. My son who's 14, his fingers are twice as long as me, and he's not playing guitar, so I'm very jealous of that genetic connection. But what I'm playing here is brand new. This is actually Epiphone Power Players series. So if you look at this thing, I wouldn't say it's 3/4 size, but it's basically one way you could look at it. One, I was having a great time with it. The neck's nice, super small. Look at my thumb. Can go all the way around, Brian. Look at that. Look at that. I could never do that. So that's amazing. So it plays really great, but it's a smaller guitar. So one way you could look at it. Oh, and I also want to say $269. People are always talking about how expensive Gibsons are, and they are super high end, right? But Brian, $269 for a guitar like this? Yeah. I think nice too. It does. I think it's sick. It plays great. So you could look at it as like the raddest starter guitar for a kid. What'd you say there, Brian?
That's Josh Norco.
Josh Norco, thanks. Hey, Josh Norco, thanks for the super chats, and anyone else doing those super chats. I really 4 million subs. He's flying out to buy Brian a beer. Yeah. I like that.
I'm in, Josh.
But so you could, one way to look at it is like the most killer, holiday present for a little kid to learn guitar on, like, because it's solid. It's not like one of those kid guitars that won't stay in tune or be playable. Like, the thing is just super sick. So you can look at it that way. You can look at it as another way as, maybe you're not like something you want to brag about, but your hands are a little smaller like mine. I'll admit mine are small. It's super fun for that regard because I never do the Hendrix stuff's just not comfortable for me. The Hendrix thumb stuff's just not. So it's just fun. You feel like you have a little bit of superpowers a little bit. So it could be the sickest guitar ever for a kid to learn on, or someone with smaller hands, or a really cool travel guitar because it's smaller. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play this Les Paul, but I'm going to compare it right now in size to a standard Les Paul. I've got this Slash Signature Series Les Paul here. Brian, what's going on over there, Brian?
What is the name of that model?
Okay, so these are brand new. This is the Epiphone Power Players series. Power Players.
Is it a Les Paul? Would it be called an SG?
This is an SG. They would call it an SG, but if you look up, if you were to Google Epiphone Power Players, you'll see it right away. Or you can go to Epiphone on Instagram or Facebook. They're just, it's brand new. But when I worked at a music store over 25 years ago, the Epiphones back then, like an Epiphone hollow body, right? Because I loved like 335 style guitars. The Epiphone hollow bodies back then, 25 years ago, they just didn't feel high quality and they wouldn't stay in tune. And that's just the most frustrating thing ever. Is just you buy a guitar that you love and you just can't even keep the thing in tune or the intonations off. What I noticed in the last, well, and they've even said it, but in the last, whenever they got new ownership, like last 4 years, they put a lot of energy into making Epiphone higher quality, and I really think they have done it. Let's say, also, full disclosure, I work with Gibson, so they're a partner of mine. I am not specifically getting paid to do this video, though. And they don't make me do anything I wouldn't want to do. So, but I am really stoked with the quality. And then, I mean, just for one, I've been doing these live events at Gibson Garage in Nashville. And there's been multiple times where like a little kid has come up and played with me and the guitar just looks giant on them. And now that this thing exists, I just think it's like absolutely perfect. So sick, and it just plays so great. Anyway, let's compare it to a full-size Les Paul, shall we, Brian?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What can you see, Brian?
It's smaller than a full size.
Man, it's quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
I mean, I could even go like that with my legs to force perspective it and like put this one up front a little, like Lord of the Rings style. Everyone see that all right? The comments, you guys see that? So think about that little, 8 or 9-year-old that's shredding on guitar and like how much of a difference it would make for them. And then also just epically going camping or doing some, or busking, traveling, anything like that. It's going to fit in a backpack way easier. Comes with a gig bag. So just super fun. So also, full disclosure, they told me they were sending me these to check out, and I was like, okay, we'll see how they are. And then they came in the delivery guy, UPS. And I opened them up and they were just in those little cardboard boxes. And I was in my mind, and there's kind of like a little cartoon guy on the box. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, a toy guitar, because it was smaller. The boxes, 2 guitars fit in one normal box. And so I saw the like graphics, and yeah, they were trying to appeal to a younger audience and stuff. But I was like, oh man, toy guitars, this should be interesting. But then I pulled it out and it was like, oh crap, this is not a toy guitar. This is not a toy guitar. So let's go to the Les Paul. See what happens. I'm gonna have to tune it. Although actually I have played it, so I did tune it, but I'm gonna retune it. And
Is that the same length?
no, I think the neck's smaller, shorter scale, less frets. I think. Is it? Maybe not. Oh well. Yeah, less frets. It's less frets. It's like 2 frets less. But anyway, Brian, thanks for being here. And while I'm doing this, Brian's still looking at your comments. So, are there any important questions, Brian, while I'm tuning this?
Well, Ozzy Farrell feels guilty that he's going to buy a Les Paul Standard. He doesn't feel like his playing justifies it. But Ozzy, that's okay.
Well, you wouldn't be the first, Ozzy.
I feel like buying a guitar and playing a guitar are two separate categories.
And also, if you buy it, maybe that gives you the incentive to play more. And it's a beautiful piece of craftsmanship. It's a gorgeous. The Les Paul's a gorgeous piece of craftsmanship. So I understand the feeling.
You need to take care of it. You do well in the used market, right?
You could sell it, yeah. I don't know why you'd want to, but all right.
We have a fellow that says he's 8th grade. He's won 2 talent shows thanks to you.
8th grade, 2 talent shows thanks to me. Wow, man, that's awesome. Now, when Brian and I went to 8th grade together, and when we were in 8th grade, it was a lot harder to have access to easy ways to learn guitar. Our friend Brett Papa was good around that time. He was learning in 8th grade, and he was awesome. He had a nice mullet, and he was definitely learning from people. He was taking lessons and figured out how to read tabs in the magazines and stuff. But yeah, we didn't have access. I didn't have easy access to just look something up and start playing. But anyway, congratulations. It's you're the one that did it. You're the one that won it. You're the one that learned it, to put the time in, practiced, all that. It was you, but I'm glad my videos were there to give you that information. That's how I look at it. So if you can't really tell because the lighting and Hem, thank you so much for the super chat. He was saying, though, Epiphone Les Paul Custom or Gibson LP Studio. I would always upgrade to the Gibson if you can, even if it's you're doing the cheaper of the Gibsons as opposed to more expensive of the Epiphone. You're just going to have a, American-made, handmade quality instrument. So if you can do that, I recommend it. Yeah, so this is this killer blue color. Let's compare this to the Les Paul so we can really see the scale difference. What do you think? You can see less frets. I think it's 2 less frets.
It's so cool because usually with a smaller guitar, you're used to the material being cheaper, but it looks beautiful.
Yeah. Son? Yes, Dad. Do you want to grow up and be a big Les Paul like me? I hope so, Dad. I'm still growing, right? Well, the luthier said you should. When they put you in the plec, they said you could still get a little bit bigger. Oh, really, Dad? I sure hope so. Oh, son, I'm a Les Paul signature. I'm a / signature Les Paul, so I'm really a lot more special than you. Oh, that kind of hurts my feelings. Can you play Sweet Child of Mine for me? No, I can't. Why not? Well, you see, it's a long story, but even though I'm a / guitar, / signature guitar, in the hands of this guy here, I can't play any Guns N' Roses on this guitar. Oh no, that's just terrible. Sorry. Why not, We're improv here, Brian. But you can see it's smaller. The day Marty Music jumped the shark. By the way, Brian, you know that term, jump the shark?
I do.
Yeah. Brian and I are old enough to know where that term came from. Right? You know where that came from, right?
Fonzie.
Yep. All right, so we got the the Black Beauty with 3 humbuckers, Hem, and thank you. I I never had a need for, yes, Mark, another person old enough. Mark Hermanson, yes. Fonzie jumping over a shark in a lake, I think. Water skiing with his leather jacket on. Those lake sharks, they'll get you. I think they were in Batman. The old Batman, Adam West, got one of those with his shark repellent. It just happened conveniently in his utility belt. Okay, yeah, so this is this little, one, it's a cool blue color. It's really almost like a seafoam green. Ice blue. Okay, I like that. Glacier blue. Wow, Brian, check you out. It's almost like you work in the industry, bro. It's a little...
Mistaken Lover has a question.
Okay.
Do we really need music theory?
That's a good clickbait title. I'd be like, oh, Brian, you really are getting your industry lingo. It was. That's what I was doing. I don't know him, but yeah, I know his face. Do you really need music theory? Ask Rick Beato. Oh, boom, 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 boom. Here's the bottom line. OTR Truckers and Clutch. Super Trucker for the super chat. Thanks. Do you really need music theory? Well, here's the thing. When you play anything that sounds good, or it sounds good to you and you remember it, you now have used a little bit of music theory by knowing, okay, this shape sounds good, and if I do this shape, it sounds good too. So even if you don't want to, know the lingo of what that is, you start putting those things together, then that is music theory. So I would say the answer is yes. You do need music theory. Anytime you play anything that sounds like a melody, whether you know exactly what it is or not, there's an element of that theory when you play it again. If that makes any sense. Like everyone knows a D chord. And a D and A chord, you start to figure out they sound good together. You don't need to know that it's coming from some key or from some scale, but as soon as you know that they always go good together, you're now using some theory. So your ear can just pick up the theory, stuff that's you recognize and then replicate. So yeah, I don't know. Is that too philosophical, Brian? No. Okay. Thanks. Good answer. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall. That was for you, Brian. I was just making sure you were paying attention. I was just making sure Brian was checking the comments and not his sports scores or whatever.
I got 2 chats.
Super hats.
You got Tanner,
Super hat. We can call him super hats. Tanner.
who wants you to challenge evil Yngwie Malmsteen. Has he played the evil guitar player in anything?
He should. He's really perfect for it. I don't know Yngwie at all. Like, he's a character. That's all I know. But that's funny. I have nothing bad to. Yeah, I guess so. I have nothing bad to say about the guy. I don't know him. And clearly, he's like shreds on guitar. So I can't really challenge him in a shred off. That's for sure.
And then Josh Dorco, 3rd super chat.
Josh, you don't have to do that. Although I did give you a Les Paul, so I guess he's paying me back. Well, thank you, Josh.
Who played the evil guitar player?
Steve Vai.
Steve Vai, that's right.
Steve Vai was the evil guitar player in Crossroads. And that made him super famous. Like, that really, really took off for him.
Was he playing with Zappa already at that point?
I think he was already done with Zappa and had already played with David Lee Roth. And then played in Whitesnake and wrote Whitesnake's biggest hits with them.
Dave Grohl was an evil guitar player.
As Satan.
Yes. Weren't they both kind of Satan?
Oh, highly recommend the Tenacious D audiobook that just came out. I think it was yesterday that it came out. I'm almost done with it, but oh man, it's so good. So if you're a fan, that's really, really great. Some deep cuts in there.
I saw their commercial yesterday.
Oh, for what?
The audiobook.
For the audiobook? Nice. It's really good. It's basically if they had a podcast and it was like 4 episodes of a podcast, but then that was it forever. But it's, it's an audiobook. But it's basically like if they did a podcast together talking about their history. One cool tidbit is that song The History of Tenacious D, that song. Basically Jack in the audiobook, Jack Black says there was he loved Beck in the 90s. Jack Black, like Beck was his like musical hero. And Beck had some song where he's like listing all the accolades he's done. And so Jack and Kyle, they had only written a couple songs at that point, and Jack told Kyle, I want to do a song like Beck where, it's all the accolades we've done, but it'll just be made up accolades. And then the next day, Kyle had the song. So Kyle wrote it without Jack. And then Jack added some elements to it, but the whole song was pretty much done the next day. Written by Kyle Gass, everybody. Shout out to Kyle. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. I'm hungry.
How's the weight on that guitar? Well, Les Pauls are known to be pretty heavy, right? So.
If this was 11 pounds, which I don't know if it is, it could be 13 pounds. This is at least half. I mean, this is probably like 6 pounds or something. It's really light. I don't know if it's as light. It's probably lighter than a Strat, just because, it's smaller. But anyway, Epiphone Power Players, more than a kid's guitar, for sure. Super fun. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys soon.